Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to my channel, TMBYN, and in today's YouTube news video, this is something where I'm like, I feel for the girlfriend, and I really do hope that she's okay, but it's one of those things where I'm like, fam, I don't expect a person to be different, when they do, like, crazy toxic videos, and then what they portray to be like some nice person offline. They're not. All right, I've dealt with that more times than ever. Being a content creator and getting into it with content creators, they are no different. Here's the thing: they are no different than who they are online. I would have to say with Andrew Tate, he's open with who he is online and offline. So I feel like whoever he is online, that's the person he's gonna be offline. So and I say that because it's like the times where I've gotten into it with people and they display this character online. It's like it's either they display that offline too, or they hide it and they don't want nobody to see them for their true colors because they know that that's going to be a big mistake and life is going to be hard for them. Andrew Tate's looking at it, it's all like, I don't have to worry about that stuff because he's most likely making a lot of money. However he is making that money, that's on him. All right, I don't follow Andrew Tate like that. But my thing is this though, right? I imagine that she didn't. Well, I don't know. There probably would be some people that tries to like hide that stuff. But I feel like that it would his government name has to be Andrew Tate. And it ain't like he goes out in public and people don't know who he is. I imagine they probably don't went out in public. Yeah, it's like, oh no, actually it is his government name, but it's not his first name. I ain't gonna put him on blast like that. But anyways, but yeah, I imagine like she had to have known of him and stuff, or known what he's about. And I'm like, I just don't understand that. Like you know what this guy is about, and you wanted to be in a relationship with him. Like that's something where I'm like, I gotta look at you and be like, fam, like, you know what, I ain't trying to make this about her. I'm really just trying to talk about Andrew Tate on this whole situation, because it really is on him though. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, you put yourself in that situation where you are going to be in a relationship, but then you take advantage of the relationship and you do some stuff to where it's like, this girl, she done built up a trust to where it's like she wanted to be in a relationship with you, but you ruined that on some old weird stuff. And that's why I'm like, that's why with Andrew Tate, like, I never, because people always try to like mimic or mock what he says, and they try to be not even their own person, but they're trying to be their own person, but in the image of Andrew Tate. And I'm like, that's not how you go about life. You don't be yourself, but you're trying to be like somebody else in the same at the same time. I'm like, look at that one guy, what he has like that Fresh and Fit podcast, the Myron Gaines or something like that. But yeah, even he's like on his podcast, he displays the same behavior as Andrew Tate. And look at that guy. He can't even, I don't even think he can, I don't know if he's can post videos on YouTube, but last I checked, he was having to post stuff on Rumble. So it's like, I know it ain't about that, but overall though, still, when you look at how hard life is for them, and then you look at another content creator that ain't this toxic individual, I'm saying it's one of those things where it's like, you as a grown man, he's like, what, 38 years old, I think? I think he is 38. Hold on for a second. Let me look his age. Yeah, bro, 38 years old. It's like, fam, it's one of those things where a kid, okay, a kid, for an example, shouldn't be making better moves than you. You, as a 38-year-old man, you should be making some moves, bruh. And you're not. You're not. My thing is this. Like, with every negative thing that Andrew Tate says or does, it's always something negative that follows afterwards, all right? He builds up this negative career. He ends up getting into it with the law. And so like, he adds more to his negative career. Now he can't even, I guess like land a good content creating business. It's like he's having to talk on platforms that I guess welcomes his behavior and stuff. So at the end of the day, it's like really, you think about it, it's like you're not having the same career, I guess, and it probably won't mean anything to him. But at the end of the day, though, it's like, yeah, you guys sit down and think about that. It's like even I'm having a better career than him. I know I ain't gotta worry about people coming after me because of this. Well, I mean, there are some people out there that do hate on me online, but I feel like that's just the go-to thing. Like, there's people out there that just deal with haters. You, on the other hand, it's like, you put yourself in that situation where you're gonna deal with haters and stuff. So it's like, really, you sit down and think about it. It's like, the career that he has, is it worth it? And that's one thing I'll never forget. And that's when I realized, like, how cringy Andrew Tate was. Like, I remember, actually, there was a couple of moments. I think it was when I kind of started paying attention to him. But I remember I was in Best Buy. I was in Best Buy for a fat minute too. I remember, because I ordered something. They said that they had it, but then it was like they didn't have it. So I'm just sitting in Best Buy roaming around. But I remember I was kind of like seeing, like, oh, what's this Andrew Tate guy all about? And I'm like, man, this is just cringy. And so to me, I was like, you skip beyond that first strike. You went straight to the second strike. But then the next thing I see is this kid in this classroom, and he's like mimicking what Andrew Tate says about that whole, oh, I'm an alpha male and you're a beta and you're, this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, please don't talk like that, or not, at least not around me. Behind closed doors, you want to look in the mirror and talk like that to yourself, you go right ahead. But if anybody, and I mean, there's been times where people, they've went into my comment sections, they're like, oh, I can tell you're a beta. And I'm thinking to myself, I've never claimed to be a beta and alpha, none of that. I am my own person, all right? Like, I'm not trying to live in the image of another person. I'm trying to live in the image of me, because I feel like that's way more comfortable than living in the image of Andrew Tate or anybody else in this world that wants to, I guess, put on this whole toxic mask. And I'm like, fam, they ain't even know it. There's no reason for it overall. But no, I remember watching this video. This kid's in this classroom, and he's going at it with his teacher. And I know I've had my moments where I went at it with my teachers and stuff. But no, the way that this kid was going at it with his teacher, he was all like, I can't remember what the situation was for, but he was all like, he did go on about that whole, like, oh, I'm a alpha male. And I'm like, fam, you are a snotty-nosed teenager. You are not an alpha male, okay? You're not even a male just yet. You haven't even hit puberty just yet. So it's one of those things where I'm like, man, I'm telling you, if I was a teacher, I probably would have got fired that day. I definitely would have roasted that kid to the point where that kid probably would have, he would have told the principal, told his parents, principals would have, our parents would have came to the school, principal would have been like, yeah, bro, you could go ahead and clock out. Because I'm like, nah, it's stuff like that where I'm like, I just don't get when people, they feel like they need to act like that. For what? What do you overall gain from it? Absolutely nothing. I'm like, you gain a negative experience with somebody, and if there's ever a time where you might need this person's help or something, because I guarantee and I promise you, that kid that was in that classroom, that teacher is probably all like, no, you figure it out on your own, but I'm not helping you. Remember, you're the alpha, so you're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to figure these things out. Oh, I would have given that kid a hard time throughout his whole school year. I'm like, and then if I ever had him again in the class, I'm like, every time, I'm like, you always gonna fail. You always gonna. I'm like, no, I'm hitting that kid where he hurts. I'm like, that kid, yeah, you definitely gonna be coming to summer school. What else? You gonna graduate late. You ain't gonna be able to. If you do have any friends, you ain't gonna be able to graduate with them and stuff. But yeah, it's like I would have definitely made that kid's life. I would have hit him where it hurts. Because I'm like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, you see how like that alpha and beta stuff work, where you just ain't got no power in things. And that's what Andrew Tate, what I think what needs to happen to him. He needs to meet somebody bigger than him. Well, no, I think he was like a fighter at some point in time, and I think that's why he quit. So he could do this I guess like toxic podcast and stuff. Oh, he's actually, oh dang, he done did a lot of matches. He was like 86 matches. But he done lost 9, and I imagine, yeah, you win that much, and then you start taking losses out of nowhere. Okay, so I think there was like, he did win his last 3. How is this read out? This is weird how this is read out. I don't know how, like, it's, oh, so it is going in order. So, but that's not, oh, that's kickboxing. Hold on for a second. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I don't even know what I'm looking at, because there's like, they got like the record stuff, but they're not showing all of the, unless he fought multiple times in one day or something like that. But anyways, but yeah, overall, I'm like, yeah, that you could tell he definitely must have got some brain damage. That's why he be talking the way he talking. But anyways, yeah, I just think overall, Andrew Tate, he's one of those guys where I'm like, he needs to maybe sit in the church for a little bit, read the word, realize that he ain't no alpha male. He ain't got no betas around him. He ain't bigger and better than everybody. It's like, fam, you are a normal human being just like everybody else. You need to understand that. And that's just one thing I don't get. I'm like, people don't understand that type of stuff. Then that's why they find themselves in the situations that they're in. But yeah, to whoever his girlfriend is at Bree Stern, I'm like, yeah, break up with dude. He don't care about you. He just only wants to flaunt the fact that he has a girlfriend on his side. I'm like, go date a guy out there where they actually, they're not going to be doing no stuff like this. They actually want you around in their life. They want to look at you as a motivational factor and things in their life. Not somewhere it's like, oh, this is just a toy I could just, throw around all over the place and things. And yeah, and it's all like, and they can't do or say anything about it. They're a toy. I'm like that. And that's how he honestly is looking at you. But, you just got people out there, and if it's a money thing, I'm like, fam, I'm saying it's one of those things where I'm like, you put yourself in a situation where you, I guess, manage to put yourself on a big platform. Use that to your advantage. If he's going to use you to his advantage, use him to your advantage. Make something out of this situation. Kickstart your, content creating career and stuff. I'm saying, I think a lot of people will be tripping off of that. They're like, Andrew Tate's ex starts up streaming career or starts up vlogging career or whatever. And then, you talk on your experience with Andrew Tate, expose him for the, the child that he is. Because I'm pretty sure, she had to have seen some stuff behind closed doors. And it's like, dang, if that stuff gets to light, I'm like, man, it's going to be a situation where probably a lot of us is going to be looking at him differently and things. But anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and peace.